Yo guys, and welcome to the Bloodstones Trilogy by TheLightbulb. These were recommended to me during a Twitch livestream. I thought they were absolutely amazing and a very interesting storyline, and therefore I want to share it with you guys today. As always, if you want to check out the adventure for yourself, you can find the links to them in the description down below. Now sit back, relax, and let's begin. Many of your own kind and allies have vanished near the Solkex system, which is rumoured to have some sort of ghost planet, and you have generously volunteered to seek it out. You arrive at Solkex, finding a lone star. And near it, your scans being absorbed in a large, round area that hides the stars behind it, you decide to closer investigate this unknown anomaly. Coming out of a fight or flight adrenaline rush, you find yourself next to your grounded ship in an unknown world of darkness. With few ideas of what happened, you decide to examine your ship. As you gaze upon your ship, you find it still intact thanks to a well-armoured hull. You then slowly recall what had occurred. As you neared what appeared to be a void of light itself, unbeknown to you as you neared it, an odd field of energy surrounding the mass crippled your systems. Your systems weakened and a gravity field drew you in. You soon realised that you were trapped, having not noticed soon enough to escape the gravity field. You entered the atmosphere, yet then an even rougher anomaly which plunged you into darkness. After you had emerged, you slowly fell towards a pitch-black world, alight with faint red specks. Then, as a last-ditch effort, too far from the ground to light it or to scan it with the weakened systems, you spent your ship's last energy to steer near the closest of the lights. This part seems to favour clinging and digging within rocks, but still always retains some connection to the ground. The flower-like parts of the vine clusters seem to let off more of a slight light the closer they are to the warm, glowing object above. As you gaze closely at the glowing red rock, you notice fresh and age-old red stains coating it almost entirely. With a more careful look across the surrounding environment, you easily determine this is the only source of light you have. As your wild mind rages on about what might just reside behind the veil of the unseen, you decide to examine your surroundings, and examine a crude, chiseled rock. You gaze upon the pile of crudely cut stones, but more importantly, the odd, metallic glowing object on top. Both the stone pile and the glowing metallic stone on top appear drenched in a reeking red liquid, fresh and dried. Whatever the glowing stone is, it gives off a certain warmth. As you survey the nearby environment, the only things you can see are plants, the dusty, grassless ground, and a few insects here and there, as roars from an unseen abominations echo around you. The plants basking in the red glow give off a hostile appearance as they stand there, and any bugs that you do see appear very uneasy as they dart in and out of the faint light. Your conscience then forces you to check your weaponry. The weapons are all functional, however they are relying on a very primitive backup generator for power. Clueless of where you are or what is around you, you can either examine your surroundings, hide and wait, or try to find one of the other many light sources and go exploring. You feel a safe, guiding warmth from the distant light. You decide to stop and recall what you've experienced so far, pondering as you stand by this light source. As you come upon an area with sloped terrain and dense foliage where the alien sounds of unknown wildlife echo far and wide, your mind tries to take in what you have been experiencing. Your ship deactivated, you're stranded on a planet with a foreign and complex environment, most of which you know you cannot even see, as it hides in the darkness. Something odd, though, is that you have not yet found anything seemingly intelligent or capable enough to carve the stone slabs which you see, or compose the odd items around them. And lastly, you still have not seen any evidence or remains of the presence of your missing allies. Screams emit from terrified creatures behind the darkness, barely drowning out the crunching of bones and shells as you can hear flesh being torn and lifted from its bones. The wildlife around you is silenced, and all that's around you is echoing the silence of death from behind the shadows. Despite the silence, you find yourself not wanting to enter into the darkness, in which these horrors may still be visible. Your weapons prove to be worthless, leaving you helpless and hope you can survive against the onslaught as you are defenseless. From behind you, a presence makes itself known, then instills pure fear into even the creatures attacking you. Best make this opportunity count and flee uphill. Fleeing up the hills and stumbling through the darkness in your helpless desperation, you had emerged into the light again, once again cursed to never fully see the wonders this world hides. You knock a rock forward into the darkness as you move. Instead of stopping, you hear the rock echo as it races down off a cliff. You slowly gather your thoughts as your breath follows all the same, still fear-smitten from the preceding encounter. Your weapons are hopeless, the absorption of the energy pulsing through them being imminent all across the fiendish monster's flesh, and as such, you are helpless. A pattern makes itself quite apparent. The energy of your weapons is easily absorbed by all the creatures around you, leaving you defenseless in this cruel world. Did the sentient life which used to live here get killed off by the nature? If so, then where are the remains? Out of nowhere, your body begins to go numb, your exhaustion from the encounter earlier making your mind and muscles begin to give in. Your consciousness betrays you, slowly blurring your vision as your body begins to weigh itself down. The warmth of the untrustably lulling light subdues any remaining resistance in your mind. Having collapsed from uncertain reasons, and with so many things still unknown, you eventually begin to come to in this dark world. You awaken from your slumber to an ill beating of your heart, and a feeling worse than when you had collapsed from exhaustion. Awakening in a daze as you stumble to your feet, you struggle to stand as what little you are able to see is a haze. Yet still, you struggle to regain your consciousness as you stand before the light, slowly remembering what had happened before. You've already travelled quite a distance, and experienced some of what this bizarre world has to offer, be it beautiful, fierce, or both. From here on out though, you must seek out the answers. What happened to the natives? What about the others who are stranded here? How will I defend myself in such a world? Or more importantly, what's happening to me? How do I feel even worse than before I blacked out? You decide to push your body onwards, despite what might be happening to it, and as such you advance forward in this new world. As you gaze over and below the cliff, you see a great many lights in the distance, spread wide across the land below. You gaze into a void of darkness that is staring at you as it releases a plentiful blessing, which seems to have graced the local cliffs with what seems like an oasis. As such, it seems the natives had taken advantage of the locale, as the slabs upon which the glowing stones are mounted are surrounded with more smoothened rocks than usual. The cliffs are barely visible, and the lights in the distance are far off the cliff, with any unknown number of obstacles between you and them. After a short examination of the area, there doesn't appear to be anything to resolve the issues at hand. It is apparent that there is nothing to gain from staying here, so it is best to once again move on towards the next light. Off into the darkness you go again. Hitting the ground, you hear your own bones shatter from under you, then screaming from the writhing pain. Your mind races with thoughts as you lay there. Where did I hear that scream from? Someone whispers in the distance. Barely even able to stand due to the pain, much less move. You lay there as your vision blurs and you ponder what miracle it would take to survive. Through the pain, you can vaguely remember the grip of 3 deformed hands from the darkness, tossing you strongly enough to launch you clear off the cliff. Normally a fall like that would do nowhere near as much damage as it did. Has the unknown weakness really taken that much effect? By Hollish, this one is still alive. Gah, I've never seen a limb bend like that before. Glad I brought this with me. Now try to relax. I'm going to inject this to help the pain and speed up the recovery. A familiar feeling spreads through your body as a healing booster is injected into your leg to boost the bone and flesh regeneration and numb the pain. While the drug takes its effect on your system, making you dazed and incoherent, the stranger tries his best to create a sort of cast by tying sticks to your leg, aligned with long leaves. There, that will have to do for now. The energy the drug drains from your system will take its worst toll soon, but I'll take you someplace safe nearby, my friend. Me and my companion have been together for a long time. Just wait until you meet her. The revitalizer just barely seems to have affected a strange illness that you have, but your leg appears as good as before, if not better, and it seems that you now have a friend in this odd world. Baheen! I'm glad you're up! The revitalizer should have finished up by now, and you appear able to stand it just fine. I'm glad I heard you and came to help. You're not from here, so we at least have one thing in common. Now, we should head to a nearby stretch of this place. My companions found a patch of plants there with similar properties to a blessed herb from my planet. But before we go, could you help me gather my supplies? My companion and I usually stay around this area, as rarely any vicious predators pass through the area. Me and my companion have been together for a long time. Just wait until you meet her. The kiss of death leaves the bodies cold. A kiss to the heart and it all folds. A kiss that leaves lips without. A kiss that brings pain about. Oh, Shriveled, I never got to hold you one last time. All this time I thought we were safe from them. Those things. I never should have let you go alone. You suddenly see pure terror seep into his body, halting his weeping and sorrow, almost paralyzing him with a fear like a weak creature under an iron foot. Struggling not to shout, he emits his words with gritted teeth. Run. Run now. We must go the way we came. You then briefly ask him, what are you running from? To which he hastily responds, them! The ones who killed my love! If I didn't need you, I'd have left you by now. Now follow me or ask those hellions those questions yourself. Who are they? What will they do to you? Have they fangs? Have they claws? Have they evil horns and pointed chins? Have they blade, evil eyes and wolfish grins? Who knows? Minds are clouded. Now that you are in a safer location, take the liberty of questioning your fellow, your ally. Pick his brain in these short moments, then continue on. We're barely safe even here, but at least out in the open I'll hear them coming sooner. Now I'll inform you quickly on our situation. Who are they, you asked? They are the natives of this demonic realm, and I've only seen what they can do twice. The first was some other strident unfortunate. The second, you saw. They appear to skin their victims. They strip them of their organs and all things of interest, like weapons, armor, clothing, and pitch the corpse when finished. We can't head back to my camp, they might be waiting there. Our only hope is a much older wrecked ship that me and my companion found while exploring a nearby area. We could barely get close enough to it, and the surrounding area is just filled with... Jikna only knows what. Nevertheless, it is our last chance. First, we must follow the grassy river. As you ventured onwards into the veiled wonderland, you cannot help but wonder what you might encounter in the upcoming part of the world. Left with no other options, you go towards yet another vast expanse of land, a cloaked, malevolent splendour. You eventually regain focus, as your mind had wandered off while you and your ally were slowly making your way towards the next light. Going onwards along a journey that you are becoming accustomed to, you and your ally tread through the darkness, moving closer towards the next gleaming stone in hopes it will lead you to a nearby ship. You need to trip over an object under great pressure from something. Stay close, we're almost there. Hold up, did you hear something? You had simply been walking along the darkened path when you heard a scream, the sound of tearing flesh, and then the common following of a splashing thud. You had quickly felt a warm splurge cover and pour over you while kissing at your feet as you heard the lifeless body fall with a thud. Then, feeling a soft, large, round object roll up against your leg, wet and warm. The next few seconds, almost eternal as agonal, throbbing heartbeats are the only sound heard other than the sound of steps just beyond your friend's remains. With the light before you being your only hope of survival, and nothing to gain from going back, you quickly try to think of a means of getting past what is fast approaching. Think, how to escape. Your ally dead, you had escaped. Yet now you find yourself at the mercy of an unknown environment, not knowing when the unseen assailants will catch up, and still seeking an ancient ship. Just as you near this thing, you can see the top of it begin to twitch. One of the few lights in this world other than the eerie red you have been drowned in as of late. However, it appears to have been reduced to a stump. On further investigation, the trees seem stronger than some of the rocks here when tapped or scratched. The marks also seem to match the blade of the nearby sharp object. Seeing the darkness and the path ahead, you quickly chuck a rock into the shadows and hear it roll a safe path, appearing again in the lights on the other side. An out of place metal shines in the red light of the glowing stone. A gap in the clearing, a gap between your heartbeats, and a metal behemoth filling the gap it created where it landed. You have finally found what you have been searching for, as it juts out before you, encased in the overcoming plant growth of this land. However, the growth of the path seems to encase it too well, and the entrance is obscured from sight. You soon find you need another way to cut through the vines encasing the ship, as all the scars your blades leave quickly heal, and any rockets or explosives might damage the ship. Nothing left to do but return to the jungle, which becomes more and more silent the more time passes, to seek out something, if there is even anything to find that will help you with the vines. Now having found the ancient ship, you must search for a tool capable enough to get through what blocks the door. However, all the shadows around you seem to be coming alive with hatred. Once again, alone yet surrounded by life in this twisted world, you venture into the wreckage of the past. Your imagination almost overtakes you with what might be inside. And there we have it, friends. That is the Blood and Stones Trilogy by TheLightbulb. Like I said, if you'll play it yourself, the links to the adventures are down below. And as always, I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you all next time.